Addiction is characterized kind of most commonly as a compulsive behavior that typically a consumption behavior, i.e. drugs or alcohol, where you can't stop despite the severe negative psychosocial consequences that accompany it.
You can get stuck in a rut with anything, but I think it's particularly easy to get stuck becoming addicted to video games because it's so easy to do. There's no limit to how much you can play here.
Our brains are built and have evolved to integrate with this, the three-dimensional outside world that we live in. And what is the consequence for taking somebody out of that environment and plopping them into this virtual world? I mean, it's a really important question that we have to deal with soon, because it's just going to creep more and more into our everyday lives.
When I first started playing, I would play this game for 8, 9 hours a day. When I wasn't playing the game, I was thinking about it. I would go to bed thinking like, oh man, I can't wait to get on ranked tomorrow and increase my rank. And it's stupid to think about, but it's true. Like, that people do think about that all the time.
Video game addiction, does it exist? Yes. But then addiction exists on all kinds of things. I mean, in gaming, it's very, very easy to get addicted to it. Human mind that's craving this stuff, and the endorphins and all the positive receptors that are engaged by this, it can become a real addicting problem. But it's like gambling or any other addiction. It has to be found and balanced out.
These things kind of roll and kind of like accumulate on themselves. For example, if you're ignoring school, you're not attending work, you lose work, you lose money, that increases stress. Increases in stress can really have tangible consequences on your health, not just psychological well-being, but physical well-being as well. And so the inability to kind of see past, playing the video game right then and there, having some foresight and thinking, well, if I go to work, I can get my money, I can pay my rent, I can buy groceries and things like that. Having the foresight to, think then, to do that first and then play the video game later. When you lose that foresight, the consequences are tangible.
My brother Adam played Final Fantasy XI for 4 years, and it became so bad that he had horrible depression when he wasn't playing it, when he wasn't, online. Like, his real life was completely, he didn't have a real life. It was, when am I gonna get home? When am I gonna start farming stuff again?
I think people really need to address it more. I think people, instead of just saying, oh, it's a video game, just stop it. People need to say that it can be a real addiction. And they should go through the same treatment programs and plans other people do.
Like, my roommates are like, what are you doing at all hours of the night? Up playing until 4 in the morning? Like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you go out to the bar? Meet people.
Your brain is amazingly adaptive too, right? And so the more you do something, the more kind of space it occupies or cognitive resources it takes up in your brain. So if you're doing that for those extended periods of time, you're essentially reworking your brain to be kind of wired into that thing instead of the real world. So I wonder if there is some kind of dissociation anxiety they have when they come away from the game, because then they have to re-assimilate into the world, as it were, right?
If I go a couple days without playing, like, I'll be like, wow, like, I really need to play some ranked. But then after that feeling passes and I play some ranked, I'm like, wow, I really don't want to play this game anymore. And it's like a mood swing kind of thing. It comes and goes.
All addiction is either it be chemical, biological or mental, different ways. You're getting stimuli that are helping some sort of abyss in your mind. So you're drinking to forget this. You're doing drugs to forget that. You're doing this to feel good about yourself. You feel bad for some reason. And so that needs to be addressed at the core issue. We need to see what psychological aspect has been either damaged or is not being fulfilled. And if we can do that with continual control and monitoring, then those addictions should be minimalized, if not helped through.
And I think it's up to the parents to manage their kids' time. 2 or 3 hours a night, is the max that you should be spending on video games as a child.
In terms of brain development, you're not fully developed until you're like 25, 26 years old. And the last parts of your brain to develop are these higher order kind of cognitive centers that are responsible for kind of integrating like social cues, all these higher order complex cognitive functions. And during this time of development, if you're heavily engaged in gaming and that's what your brain is learning about, maybe it's not learning what it should about the natural world, and you won't be able to interact with the world as appropriately as you should.
I'm a completely different person in real life than I am in this game. When I was first starting out playing this game, I was like a horrible, horrible person. If I wasn't winning and my team wasn't doing exactly what I wanted them to do, I would be extremely mean and say things that my friends would go back and look on and be like, you really said that to people on the internet? Like, what's wrong with you? I got permanently banned from this game 6 times. I had 6 different accounts. After the 6th time, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I yelling at my computer screen at these people I've never even met? Why am I doing this? Why am I upset? Why is my blood pressure like at ridiculous levels?
I feel bad. I mean, gaming is supposed to be a wonderful, engaging thing, but like anything, it can be abused. So as long as people are aware and watching, and there needs to be some more education, there's more. You see flyers all the time for Alcoholics Anonymous. You don't see any flyers for Gamers Anonymous. You just don't see it out there, because a lot of people just dismiss it like it's not a real addiction. And this is just my humble opinion from what I've seen. I think people need to be just more balanced with the entire affair. I mean, a lot of people see the gamer as kind of an overweight individual, mostly male, mostly white, mostly lonely, sitting in their basement, like was pointed out earlier, kind of like the South Park. We're going to follow that theme. And that is true. There are those individuals out there, but the thing is there's individuals out there for every type of topic. There's the sports nerd that sits in his basement, does that. There's the art nerd. There's the film nerd. There's all these people that will be isolated. Video games, because they are a little bit more insular, because it's one-on-one with you and the screen. People have seen that over the years, and because people just didn't do it in their generation, they can get kind of scared or unknown, and they can see it as a waste of time. I will point out, though, that like anything, I mean, a good life is like a good game. It's balanced. Yeah, no, I don't advocate for people to be on the games 24 hours a day, even though they're kind of designed for that thing. But I do think that they can be a balanced, really well enriching aspect of the day.
Managing my time with League of Legends, you kind of got to step back and realize that, there are only a handful of professional players in the world who play this game, and the chances of you becoming one of those are really slim. I'm playing this game to have fun. It's fun when I'm playing it, but it needs to be balanced with real life things, work, school, friends, family. And I do a pretty good job managing that.
And the thing is that the stereotype has been changing over the years, because more and more people are getting the games. More people are playing Flappy Bird, or they were. More people are playing Angry Birds. More people are doing this or that. And so gaming is thankfully kind of infiltrating, and because of its diversity, is able to relate to a lot more people. I mean, that's good and bad. We used to have a lot more shared experiences. So we're having an overall group shared experience, but we're not having individual niche experiences where we all played Tetris or we all played that. But there's no reason why you can't go to your family and say, hey, try this great game. It's fun. Let's do this together.
To a certain extent, it's kind of a release for somebody. There is data now to suggest that, letting your mind wander, or just kind of not being plugged in, or really focusing on your day-to-day activities all the time, there's some benefit to that.
Games are very positive enforcement vehicles and engines, and we don't get that enough. We don't get the love and the support that we really need to keep going. We live in a very cold, shallow world most of the time, and games are kind of like a nice warm blanket. So I see that people are finally accepting and adapting that. There's no reason why you have to read Wall Street Journal text, which is just when you can get this. If people aren't engaged by that, then what's the point? But if people are engaged by seeing an image and playing a game and getting information, going back and forth, then whatever it takes to get people to learn is what I say.
I've met so many people by playing this game that I can't even imagine what it would be like without actually having picked up this game like 5 years ago. Because pretty much all my friends right now are League of Legends players, and I talk to them like every single day on the game or in real life. This game has actually been a big part of like my childhood. Everyone I know plays this game.
People love playing games, but then there's a huge segment of that population that wants to make games, that want to actually say, you know what, I love this thing, I love playing Battletoads, I love playing these different games, I want to move them in and out, back and forth, I love Castlevania, I want to make my own. I want to go out there and make my own damn game, and I want to be able to have my own characters, my own animations, my own stuff, etc. But then the thing is in order to do that, people have to go back and start learning stuff that they would have thought otherwise is boring as hell. They have to start learning math. They have to start learning programming. They have to start learning, color theory. They have to learn all this stuff because they know what it takes to make a great game. They know what it takes to make a fun, engaging experience. But it's a whole other thing to actually have to craft that from the ground up, to look at that blank canvas, to look at that blank screen and say, I'm going to add this, add that, etc. Video game creation is great in that you have to learn basic math. You have to learn basic logic. You have to learn these things. And it's in the past, most people just learn them because they've been told they have to learn for a degree. But in gaming, it's like, look, if you learn this, then you'll have a greater idea of how to make this guy jump. If you learn sine, cosine grids and graphs, then you have an idea of how to make somebody jump from this platform, that platform. If you understand how collision works, if you understand how math can actually interact with itself, then you understand how to make collision. You understand how to have a game character kill another game character, or have that dragon fire at you, or have that Goomba kill Mario when it touches you. You have to learn that sort of thing.
Create and Play Camps is a day camp program for kids ages 10 to 16. And what we do with the program is we bring kids in to actually teach them the technologies around video games. Our initial program was just an intro to video game design. So kids come in, they learn how to create their own 3D worlds, add pre-made characters, and also the software we use is called Microsoft Kodoo, so that they can do what I like to call a gateway to programming. So they can do programming in a graphical user interface way, so it's not really hardcore typing all the code out. Our camp program is unique because we don't just hammer in 8 hours of lessons every day. We realize it's the summer. We want the kids to have fun. So we teach them about 2 hours in the morning. We give them some time to do some stuff. And then in the afternoon, we provide team-based gameplay. So team-based objectives in Minecraft, or team play in games like Team Fortress 2, Garry's Mod, etc. So not only are they learning in the morning, but they're also having fun in a social environment in the afternoon.
It's one thing I've learned about the game industry is they want to see a finished game. They want to see something that is done, even if it's a little level. The game starts, you go over here, you kill a Goomba, you jump back, you're done, you save the princess. Boom, one little thing, 15 minutes, fine. They want to be able to see that you can design characters, program, organize in some experience, and then put the whole thing together, because that is honestly the greatest learning experience of making a game, is actually starting it and then finishing.
In my opinion, the best thing about this camp program is that teenagers come in at the beginning of the week, not really having a lot of knowledge of how to make a game, but they start to see all the different facets that go into creating a game. Graphic design component of creating a stage and adding in characters, how to animate those characters so they look like they're doing something in the game, how to build functionality for every piece of a game, and then how to create a tangible product at the end of the day. And I really feel like this gets the kids' minds going and thinking about how they can build a career versus just how do they be a pro gamer or how do they just test video games. There are all kinds of jobs, not only in video games, but also in the IT world and the web world that these skills apply to.
The concept of eBash is bringing people out of their bedrooms, out of their basements, and really allowing these gamers to experience social gaming. So in many cases, we've had starting linebackers from college sports teams sitting next to a freshman in high school that may be dressed in all black and be a skater. And those two guys would have never crossed paths in real life, but they come to our stores, they sit next to each other, they play the same game. Next thing you know, they're best friends. They're hanging out every Tuesday on a certain game night, and they've become teammates and entered some tournaments together.
I think it's kind of changed the way that I think. I have to physically shut the computer, put it away from me, and just go outside for a while. And it's something, this creep of machines and technology into every part of our life, and we have to ask ourselves what it's doing to us, right?
But you've got games on every single platform that you could possibly imagine, and I've got students in my classes making games, publishing themselves, going through Kickstarter, raising thousands of dollars. It is the niche of the niche of the niche market, and it's just an amazing time, and I just think we're in an era where it was kind of questionable in the past, but video games are really going to be entrenched and a part of our culture solidly, without any doubt, from here on out.
And so we're going to start integrating kind of gaming, visualization, virtual reality techniques into our day-to-day lives. And so will that have a consequence on how we interact or even view the natural world? You know, I think it's an open question and it should be explored.